Hey, good afternoon and welcome. We're back to walking in the woods. I think it's been maybe a year since I've done this, so I apologize for my absence. I should confess to you though that we're not really going to walk that much today because there goes Murphy. A lot has changed in the past year and he doesn't feel like going for a walk. That's what he wants to do. So I'm just going to stand here and let him hang out and have his outside time. But I wanted to talk to you today. I wanted to give you some tools for breaking some big news to your community. In a way, I wanted to simplify the process for you. I just recently worked with a client. They had some really big news they had to break to their community. And, in short, legislation had recently changed, which essentially changed the way that they did business. And so they came to me and said, how can we best do this in a way that's very transparent, ethical, maintains our integrity? There's a lot of moving parts to their piece of news. And they felt overwhelmed and they needed some outside perspective. And that's where I can really help, is come in from the outside and help simplify this process. And here's what we did. I asked them to answer 3 questions. We went through this exercise. So simple, and it seems so obvious, but bear with me for a few moments. So the first question, what do we want people to know? And we created a list of bullet points, like these are the facts, this is what we want to know. And like I said, an obvious first step, but just looking at the list of things of what we want our audience to know helps us to really focus the message and remove the things that, when we're looking at the list, well, we don't really need this, we don't really need this. So here are the 2 to 3 key things we want them to know. Secondly, what do we want them to think and feel? Now, we have control over what we want them to know, but we have less control over what we want them to think and feel. And this is where your stories come into play, because stories help people think and feel. So we want them to think that we as an organization are being totally transparent and that we have the utmost integrity. Okay, so what are we going to tell them so that they think that? How do we want them to feel? Well, let's say we want them to feel angry. Okay, well, we can't tell them we want you to feel angry. So what's the story? What's the example that we can show that's going to make them feel angry? Or we want them to feel compassion. We want them to feel hope. So what's the story we're going to tell to make them feel that? So what do we want them to know? What do we want them to think? What do we want them to feel? Lastly, what do we want them to do? Because there's something we want them to do. Do we want them to send a letter to someone? Do we want them to show up to something? Do we need some money to help get over the line or do whatever it is? So I hope that helps you break down a big task. When you have a big message to communicate with a lot of different moving parts, just bring it down to its most simple thing. What do we want people to know? How do we want them to think? What do we want them to feel? What do we want them to do? And take it from there. Hope that helps. I will see you at the next one. Maybe we'll actually walk next time.